Good morning, everyone. My name is Riz. This is going to be another roleplay review, this time for the log titled Tonfa versus Tiger. Let's get started. Hi, everybody. So, as I said, this is a roleplay review for the Tonfa versus Tiger log. It's got the Tonfa, Saliath, versus the Tiger, Koshoro. And the type that they have listed is a combat and introduction. The arc is under Once Upon a Tower. And the synopsis is that there's a matchmaking event at the Spicy Heifer, and Koshoro comes looking for love. A fight in the streets of Pepper City happens against a Tonfa-wielding engineer, Saliath. And that's pretty much what happens. Have a good day. No, I'm kidding. So this is a good combat log. This is a really good introduction log between two characters. And these guys have done a really good job of kind of keeping the theme throughout the entire log. It has some funny moments in there. It has some awkward moments in there. And then it has this combat that happens. I'd say it's kind of like towards the end, but the combat is also like the meat of the log itself. So it kind of starts off that, it's just an afternoon in Pepper City, and Mac, the owner of the Spicy Heifer, is trying to put this event on to gather more patrons. And the way that the log is talked about is that he's tried this once or twice before, and it's never really worked out. And it seems like this time it's even worse because his regulars aren't even showing up, knowing that this is going to be the kind of night that it is. But it's a speed dating matchmaking kind of event, which I find is both cute and pretty funny. It's cute because Pepper City's kind of been like a hot spot, and there could possibly be a lot of people moving to Pepper City, and they may not know a whole lot of people, so this bartender is thinking like, I got this idea, I'll make it festive, I'll make it fun, I'll try to get a bunch of young people in here and just have like this community building event go on. And while we are in the space opera of the mystical dragon taking over the sky all across the planet, and empires are invading, and armies are trying to take over third world worlds, Saliath still is looking out for just the everyman. And is like, you know what, like we're gonna host a speed dating in an age where, like, now, this is how I know, Saliath, you told your age a little bit. This is how I know you're of my generation, because, like, now, people that are younger than, in their 30s, like people in their 20s, they don't know what speed dating is. It's all done with their freaking phones. So you kind of told on yourself a little bit there. But that's the event that's happening at the Spicy Heifer. And I really want to say the Spicy Heifer is becoming Slammers 2.0, which I also like. I'm sure Ike really thinks that's cool too, because that's where pretty much everybody in a couple ages ago, that's where everybody met. And I'm pretty sure for everyone who's in the current setting on Earth, all the major role players have rolled through the Spicy Heifer at some point. Everybody's met Mac. He's kind of becoming like a Zordon, or a Master Roshi, or God, what was the rat's name from the Ninja Turtles? But he's becoming, like him, where all these up and coming fighters are kind of rolling through his space, and he's met them, pretty much all of them. So there's this speed dating that's going on, and Koshoro is the only other person that shows up. There's nobody else there. There's Mac, there's Saliath, and then Coco shows up. And he's kind of nervous. He's wearing a pink bow tie, but he's still got his training vest on underneath. And he's kind of like, supposed to be on this quest to the sacred lands of Korin. He wants to climb the Great Korin Tower, meet God or Kami. but he's still out there to, maybe meet the love of his life. And so he shows up, he gets this ticket, and it's funny how it plays off between the two characters. So Saliath is, I'm going to say, like the lead in this. He sets the setting. He kind of sets the environment. He's the one that tells us this is what the event is. But unable to give up DMing rights, Eichenbahn jumps in and is like, okay, so this is, we're on the speed dating. So like, this is the rule 1, this is rule 2, this is rule 3. And it's really cute how they kind of play off against one another. But since he's the only one there and he's handed this ticket, Koshoro reads it. And by the way, in context, Saliath is not there for the speed dating. This is just where he hangs out. He probably even lives there. He's just kind of helping out in the back. But the speed dating rule 1 is turn the person to your immediate right and tell them what you like most about their appearance. So Koshoro looks to his right. And who does he see but Saliath? So he's like, you're cut. And it's like Koshoro's really awkward and really really nervous, which I don't honestly get for a couple of reasons. I mean, maybe he's just awkward around new people, but like last we met, I remember there was like a young Saiyan woman that had caught his eye, an Imperial Saiyan, and he was pretty smooth talking with her. If I remember, yeah, I think he hit first night. So I don't know why he's so nervous or, what it is. He's maybe just being bashful and coy, but, he kind of, he uses these tickets to help him push the conversation with this stranger. And it's really cool. And it feels very natural, right? Like Saliath is sitting there thinking like, yeah, like, oh, hey, thanks. I work out. I train with Tonfas. That's why I look so strong. That's why I'm cut. And then like the next time it's like, okay, when the partner tells you something about themselves and it's personal, press it. And if they press, you talk honesty. Love is all about communication. And he's putting it in quotes as if Mac had wrote this himself. And on the second one, Saliath gets it. And he's like, oh, no, damn it, Mac. And Mac kind of like has this like, like he's cleaning his cup and he's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He's got the card. He's just asking you questions. So it's really kind of cute how they start their conversation that way. But it's an earnest conversation. It's as natural as, we usually like meet somebody in the woods or just kind of bump into them in the street. But, using this kind of speed dating rules, it's what gets the conversation between the two characters going. And he kind of is saying the dating in this is leading to the fight, right? So there's going to be explosions tonight one way or another in Koshoro's mind, I'm guessing. And that's pretty much the lead up. Koshoro and Saliath kind of like talk about one another and they're kind of sizing each other up while they're talking. And somewhere in my head canon, right, they're saying Blood is like, man, I really just want to have at this dude and see what he's about. So, they kind of flex at one another. I think Koshoro kind of like just flashes some punches really quick to just show that like, yeah, he's pretty loose. He knows what he's doing. And Mac immediately picks up on that. So that tells me that I'm going to say Mac's probably like a tier 2 fighter himself. Just the way that he's, 1, been able to train Saliath, and 2, been able to pick up on little things like that. Like, he's probably like physically, or at one point was physically strong enough to at least be what we would consider the average level of a supernatural person in the verse. Maybe not tier 3, maybe tier 1, but he can definitely pick up on someone who's above the regular person. But he takes them outside. He grabs them both by the ears, like, hey, I've set all this shit up. You guys are not about to fight. inside, so take it outside. And that's pretty much the setup of the fight. And it was really it was really cool, really cute. Definitely a very different take on what we've ever seen on page. And then the fight happens. It's really good descriptions. It's a fight that I feel like Saliath is really showing a versatile usage of both their key ability and their tonfas. And then there's Koshoro. And I'm gonna go through it. So they have this exchange of fights. There is a really cool moment where before the end, Koshoro is trying to press the attack, and he goes to really lay into Saliath, who is kind of like up against a car. Saliath dodges, but the kick pretty much kicks the car. And at first, when I was like, okay, he misses and he hits the car, I'm thinking like it just kind of skid. But no, this vehicle turns end over end over end and then goes through a next wall. And I was like, oh yeah, he's trying to hurt him. Like that would have really hurt. And they're Koshoro's moving around kind of at Zanzokin speeds, and he gets this really good throw, and all the while, Saliath is using his tonfas to blast key energy. Wants to blind Koshoro with the debris and the smoke, and then like to move around. And I remember when this log happened live, and right at the end, I remember Ike telling me like, dude, just had this great fight with Saliath. Like we were in Hell's Gates, and he's like, dude, he had this awesome plan, and he was like, do you want me to spoil it for you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I didn't think it'd take me a month to read the log and review it, but I'm like, I'll probably forget by the time you get to me, and I never forgot. So while Saliath is doing all that, he's actually kind of breaking the ground around them, and then when he kind of has Koshoro in a defensive position, then he really uses, and I think this is the first time that he's actually ever used his construct ability, which to me is kind of like showing up in my head as kind of like the Green Lantern, where he can just make energy, tools, and weapons. And he makes this big hammer, and he hammers down onto Koshoro, and the ground breaks. They fall down into the sewer, and that's kind of the end. That's the end of the fight. And when the fight ends, Koshoro's like, wow, like that, you're pretty strong, man. Like that was cool. That was a good move. You're very smart to kind of set all that up. And then he kind of offers him like to join him on his journey to the sacred lands of Corrin and to try to climb Corrin's tower, to which Saliath agrees. I mean, any one of us who are Dragon Ball nerds, we know what that kind of means, and it's like if we were in like the DC universe and being like, hey, I'm gonna go to the Fortress of Solitude, do you want to go? It's like, no, I don't want to go there. It's like, of course we want to go. Of course I want to go see the sacred lands of Corrin. So through their fight and their spar, they kind of have this camaraderie, and yeah, he graciously agrees. Koshoro, is all covered in gunk because he fell into the sewer, and he goes and he showers and he gets changed, and that's pretty much the log. Again, it was a great fight. If you guys want to read it, I always will link the log in question into the YouTube video. If you just want to read the fight, it's the second part, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful for like the first post being all the introduction, the second one's all the fight. It just made it easier to kind of read to one part, get caught up, and then read to the other one. So now that I've gone through the story, there's a couple things I want to say about the characters within it. Because I know you guys noticed how I kind of paused when I was talking about Koshoro a little bit. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is Saliath. And I'm going to say this as honestly as I can. I'm going to say this without any bias, without any personal feelings. This is just all what I've read on page. To everybody who's out there watching, every other role player that we have, You are all on notice, and Saliath is coming for that ass. You know, you may be asking yourself, Riz, what do you mean by that? What do you mean Saliath is coming for that ass? Since Saliath has come around, and I don't remember exactly when this character started showing up. I'm going to say about 2 months, maybe. He has approached every bit of combat with a level of heroic arrogance and confidence that could go one of two ways. And just reading Saliath, I have not talked to the role player about this. Saliath, I'm just putting together what I'm seeing from what I, the reader, am seeing from this. Saliath can either be a very good hero in the setting, or Saliath could be the true villain. I think he has the potential to be a greater villain than Fusen. And the reason I say that is because Saliath it's like he doesn't have the concept of losing in his mind, right? Like, he knew in this fight that Koshoro was, like, something was off. Because while they're fighting, he's like, man, I think you're holding back. And Koshoro's like, I'm not really holding back. I'm just wearing weighted clothing, and it's holding me back. So, no, I'm not fighting at my full potential, but it's not because I'm taking it easy on you. I just actually can't. And and Saliath ends up winning this fight. Like, he defeats Koshoro's drive to push this fight even further. And I feel like the way that he is progressing, he's progressing at such a rapid rate. He's built his engine so he can be on any planet that he wants to be on now. He has these Tonfas, which, I mean, he's I don't remember how many fights he's been in, but for the 2 that I know, like, he's 2-0 and not really that injured from what I can remember. I know Riz got a couple of cuts in him, but, like, he fought Rizian, and Rizian is 4 months old and doesn't know how to fight, so of course Saliath won that fight. But he's now fought Koshoro and defeated Koshoro. And the reason I hesitated earlier when I was talking about Coco is that, having rewatched a lot of Ike's old videos talking about roleplay, there was one in particular where he said that by tier 2 into tier 3, you should have some feats under your belt. Like, every character should have some feats under their belt. And Koshoro has a great feat under his belt. And so for as long as this character has been around, we have been told, like, hey, this is the most dominant martial artist we've ever seen. He's the deadliest fighter that we've ever seen. He's killed masters. He's killed dozens of masters and their students. And to put that into perspective, in one of his logs at the beginning of the year, I was like, hey, Mosin, you are now a master of your school. And then, Ike in the next one said, Nova, you are now a master. This character has killed people of that caliber of training and fighting, and Fusen. And we have been told for so long, like, Fusen, he's in, like, the most maximum of security prisons. He's killed all these people. He was the terror of the sanctuary. He was Billy Badass. He was him. He is him, right? And Koshoro beat him. Right? Like while there was a power level difference between the two of them, Coco came to that fight expecting to die, and he not only did he live, but he won, right? It would be different if Coco fought Fusen and then he lost the fight, but he didn't die. And then, Fusen went on to go fight Yokai and went on to fight, not Yokai, Yugen, sorry. And maybe even, like, Mistroma, Saliath, Styx, all these guys. And then eventually he was defeated. But he 1v1 the deadliest martial artist that we have. And Saliath beat that man, right? The man that beat the man, then beat the man. And even just from an ego perspective, I think that would be huge. That would be huge for anybody. So that's why I say, like, Saliath, he's putting the mud, he's putting all the role players, you know, he's put you all on notice. He's becoming the main character of DBI right now. I feel like he is. Like, Koshoro was him during, like, the Tiger, the Wolf, and the Bear, and I think that it's now becoming Saliath with the feats that he's obtaining. And I know this was just a spar, and it was explained that Koshoro is wearing the weighted training gear. You know, he's not taking it as seriously at all. And I know that his motivations to win were like, okay, we destroyed a city, we destroyed a city street. We can kind of call it there. Like, I'll give you the victory. He may, like, Koshoro may have had, like, the moral victory in here of knowing when to stop. Because, like before, you know, Saliath will just keep going. He wants true, absolute victory. But the reason that I kind of hesitated before, and, like, my attitude towards this log when I read it initially was when the ground broke and they fell down into the sewer, I then thought, like, okay, now it's going to start. Now we're done with the warm-up. We're going to get into it now. Like, Koshoro is going to, you know, float down or jump down from the debris, and now we're really going to get it. He's really going to push it, but he didn't. He stopped. And I took, how do I want to word this? I didn't take offense to that, but I wanted Koshoro to put his reputation on display, right? That's one thing I feel like did not happen in this log. Again, it's a spar. I know Ike, and he tends to do this. But I'm going to say something very controversial. And I could be wrong about this. So if I'm wrong, feel free to tell me I'm wrong. Again, it's just how I personally feel. I'm going to say that if this were Cyver wouldn't have lost this spar. If this were Cyver 0, not Prime, if this were Cyver 0, you wouldn't have let him lose this. Not like this. It would have been... There wasn't that edge there, right? There wasn't that, like, hey, I'm the guy that did this. These are my list of feats. Now, that could be for two reasons. That could be because that's just a different mindset. That's not who Koshoro is. Or it could just be like, you know, you just weren't feeling it. You know, real life could have happened. It could have been, you know, super late, or people had to go. And rather than pause and then come back and kind of lose the feeling, it was like, you know what, we'll just end it there. I totally agree. I don't have a problem with this log. I do not. Please don't think that I'm talking negatively about it. I'm just talking openly about it. Yeah, I wanted to see the tiger. I want Koshoro to tell us why he's called that. You know, I want because right now it's like he's the tiger. Yep, he beat Fusion. Yep. The fight with him, while competitive, I didn't feel that presence. I didn't feel the presence of the tiger. And maybe that's for the future, right? Maybe that's what the whole arc, like, God, I'm getting just like spoiler territory of what I have planned, but maybe that's my job, right? For the character I'm going to play when they get to the tower. But that's how I felt about it. Again, guys, it was a great read. It was sorry that it took so long for me to get to the review of it. But you guys got top marks all around. And I am very excited to see Saliath's growth. I'm kind of excited to see the dynamic with these two and how, like, I hope you guys kind of buddy along for a little bit more and see who else we bring in for the tower training arc. Should you survive the toils? Anyway, my name is Riz. Thank you for your time, and I will see you guys next time.